You ever notice how people love to drag you into their little circus? They sit in their messy lives, clowns painting each other's faces with fake smiles, and they think you're supposed to buy a ticket. They want you in the front row, clapping for the nonsense they call life. But here's the ugly truth, kid. The moment you start paying attention to their chaos, you become part of the act. And me, I've seen enough of that theater to know it's rotten. The applause dies. The lights go out, and the only thing left is regret. You see, drama is the cheapest drug out there. Costs nothing to start. Destroys everything when you overdose. People throw lies, whispers, and insults like it's candy, hoping someone picks it up. And if you bite, they got you. They feed off your reactions, your pain, your confusion. That's their dinner. But if you sit back, silent watching, they starve, because nothing kills a fool faster than being ignored. Let me give you an example. Imagine a man working day and night, bleeding his hands to build something solid, a business, a house, a future. And around him, people talk. He's wasting his time. He'll fail. He's not good enough. You know why they talk? Because they're standing still. And your movement makes them choke. They want to anchor you with noise. But if that man listens, if he stops swinging the hammer just to argue with some empty mouth, the house never gets built. The future never arrives. He dies with his ears full of their words and his hands empty. That's the price of caring about their drama. You gotta understand something. Pain builds muscle. Silence builds respect. When you stop feeding into nonsense, you become unpredictable, dangerous. They don't know what's in your head, and that makes them tremble. People fear silence more than shouting. Shouting is easy to decode. Silence, that's a storm coming. So ignore their drama. Let them gossip. Let them throw shade. Let them laugh. Because while they're busy wasting oxygen on you, you're stacking bricks, turning your scars into armor, and one day you walk past them. Not with revenge in your eyes, but with indifference in your step. That's when it hurts the most for them. Not when you fight back, not when you scream, but when you act like they never mattered in the first place. Think of it this way. Your time is blood. Every second you waste arguing, explaining, defending, it's a cut. Bleed too much, you're done. Save that blood for your own battles, your own growth. Let them bleed themselves dry in their little fights while you stay whole. Life's cruel. Yes. People will betray you, mock you, leave scars on your back. But scars, they're proof you survived. Proof you didn't waste your time dancing in their chaos. Music. And in the end, the only respect that counts is the respect you earn from building in silence. So ignore their drama, kid. Not because you're weak, but because you're too strong to waste your strength on noise. You know what's funny? People scream about loyalty, but they're the first ones to flip when the wind changes direction. They'll swear they've got your back. And the second you turn, they've got a knife aimed straight for your spine. That's the kind of drama they live for. Betrayal dressed up as entertainment. And the sickest part, they want you to play along, to keep handing out second chances like candy on Halloween. But let me tell you something harsh. Every time you give them another chance, You're digging your own grave a little deeper. They don't learn. They don't change. They just get better at stabbing without leaving fingerprints. So what do? You stop feeding the beast. You stop being the clown in their circus. You detach. You cut the strings. You let silence burn louder than your voice ever could. Because here's the truth. The loudest punishment you can give to someone who thrives on chaos is your absence. You vanish, and suddenly their stage is empty, their audience gone. That's when the drama collapses. When the lights shut off, and they're left staring at their own ugly reflection in the dark. Let me explain it like this. Imagine you're walking through a marketplace and everyone's shouting, selling fake gold, rotten food, broken promises. The air stinks. The noise is deafening. If you stop at every stand to argue about the quality of their trash, you never get out. You spend your whole day in the mud. But if you keep walking head high, ignoring their desperate yells, you make it to the gates. You see the real world outside. That's how drama works. It traps you if you stop. It frees you if you ignore. And people, they'll test you. They'll poke you with lies. They'll bait you with insults just to see if you break character. They want you to explode because an explosion feeds their hunger. But the moment you refuse, the moment you just stare, maybe even smile, you take all their power away. Silence flips the game upside down. Let me get darker with it. Life is already cruel enough. You're going to bleed. You're going to cry. You're going to taste betrayal like poison. But why had their garbage on top of your suffering? Why waste tears on people who wouldn't even spit on you if you were burning? That's the trap. They want you drained, empty, distracted from your path. And if you fall for it, you're the fool. But if you walk away, ignore it all. You win twice. First, because you kept your soul clean. Second, because you built something while they wasted their lives talking. You want logic? Here's logic. Energy is limited. Time is limited. Every ounce you waste on drama is an ounce stolen from your dreams. You've got goals, kid. A house to build, a name to carve, a life to live. And these parasites, they want you stuck in the mud with them. Don't fall for it. Let them drown in their gossip while you climb out. Let them laugh at your silence today. Because tomorrow when you stand above them, their laughs will turn into silence. Permanent silence. So listen closely. Ignore their drama. Don't argue. Don't explain. Don't chase. You are not their clown, not their toy, not their scapegoat. You're the storm on the horizon, the silence before thunder. And when you finally speak, when you finally act, it won't be with words. It'll be with results so loud they'll choke on every rumor they ever spread. That's how you win. Not by answering them, but by making them irrelevant. The world's full of puppeteers, kid. People pulling invisible strings trying to make you dance. They'll stir up arguments, whisper poison in your ear, pit you against others just to see you break. And the cruel joke, they don't even care about the outcome. They just want the thrill of watching you burn while they stay warm by the fire. That's drama. It's gasoline on a spark. It spreads fast. It looks alive, but it only leaves ashes. And if you're dumb enough to feed it, you end up coughing in the smoke, blind, broken, and blaming yourself for standing too close. Let me paint it clearer. Imagine someone throws a stone in a pond. Ripples, right? Small, harmless waves. But the fool doesn't stop. He keeps throwing stone after stone until the water is chaos, until it can't reflect the sky anymore. That's what drama does to your soul. It distorts. It destroys clarity. It steals your reflection. And people love throwing stones into your calm water. Why? Because they can't stand to see peace. Peace reminds them of what they'll never have. So they break yours. And if you let them, you've already lost. People are addicted to chaos. Some can't function without it. They wake up hungry for gossip. They sleep dreaming of who they'll hurt next. They scroll, they text, they whisper like rats in the dark, hoping you'll stumble on their words and bleed. And the harsh truth is, you can't fix them. You can't heal people who are in love with their poison. You can't clean a swamp without drowning in it. So the only cure, walk away. Silence is disinfectant. I'll give you a street example. Let's say you're walking through an alley and some punks start barking. Hey loser, where are you headed? You think you're tough? Now you got two choices. One, you bark back. You prove you're tough. But what happens? You waste your time. Maybe you fight. Maybe you bleed. And tomorrow there'll be 10 more punks waiting. Or 2, you keep walking. You don't even look. You starve them. And they sit there confused, choking on their own words. Music, that's power. Knowing your silence ruins them more than your fist ever could. Listen carefully. When you stop reacting, you take away their script. You're not a character in their cheap play anymore. You're the director now. They panic because they don't know their lines without your responses. That's when you see the truth. They were never strong. They were parasites feeding on attention. And you became the nightmare they can't touch. You ever notice how the happiest looking people often have the darkest nights? How the loudest ones are usually the emptiest inside? That's why they love drama. It's camouflage. They cover their emptiness by pointing at you. But if you don't play along, their mask cracks. Suddenly, everyone sees their weakness. And that hurts them more than anything you could say. Don't waste words proving who you are. Don't waste breath defending yourself against lies. Time will do that for you. Time is the greatest judge. It exposes the fake, rewards the patient, buries the noisy. Your silence today is an investment. Tomorrow when you rise, their drama will look like dust and you'll laugh, not because it's funny, but because it's pathetic. Music. So here's the dark truth. You will be tested. People will betray you. Rumors will spread, insults will hit. But your weapon isn't anger, it's discipline. Discipline to stay silent. To keep building, to let results scream louder than words. Ignore their drama. Not because it doesn't hurt, but because it doesn't deserve your pain. Pain is fuel. And fuel belongs to your journey, not their circus. They want you broken, distracted, lost. Don't give them the satisfaction. Stay focused. Stay cold. Stay silent. Because the scariest man in the room isn't the one shouting. It's the one who sits still smiling while chaos burns around him. That man, he owns the room. You know what really makes me grin? Watching people create storms they can't even survive in. They talk, they stir, they twist stories until even they don't know what's real anymore. They build bonfires of lies, and then scream when the flames get too close, and somehow they expect you to jump into the fire with them. But let me tell you something cold, kid. You don't jump. You stand there, you watch, and you let them burn in the heat of their own nonsense. That's the punishment they never see coming. Indifference. Because nothing drives a drama addict crazier than being ignored. People are addicted to noise. They think the loudest one wins. But life doesn't work like that. Noise fades. Silence echoes. Silence lingers in the mind like a shadow you can't shake. Music. When you walk away from their chaos, when you refuse to fight, your silence becomes a question they can't answer. Why isn't he reacting? Music. Why isn't she breaking? That question eats them alive. They'll twist. They'll dig. They'll try harder to pull you in, but you stay still. That's how you kill drama. Not with fire, but with the cold. Look at history. The strongest ones weren't the loudmouth screaming for attention. They were the quiet ones, building in the shadows, striking when no one expected it. Discipline made them dangerous. Self-control made them untouchable. And you need to learn the same lesson. Every time you answer to drama, you throw your discipline away. Every time you react, you give them control. You hand them the keys to your peace, and they'll lock you out just to watch you suffer. Let me give you a street picture. Imagine you're in the hood corner, full of loud mouths. They're laughing at you, throwing little jabs, trying to get under your skin. If you bite, if you snap back, congratulations. You've just given them free entertainment. But if you just stand there calm, maybe with a little smirk, suddenly they don't know what to do. They can't feed off you anymore. They're left with their own emptiness. And that kills them faster than any comeback ever could. Here's the dirty secret. They want you emotional because emotion makes you sloppy. When you're angry, you talk too much. When you're sad, you drop your guard. When you're desperate, you make mistakes. And every mistake feeds their hunger. But when you're silent, when you're cold, when you don't move, even as they throw their worst, you become untouchable. They can't read you, can't use you, can't reach you. That's power. I'll explain it like this. Life is a stage, yes. But you don't have to be in their play. You can build your own theater. You can write your own script. And when they come begging you to act in their cheap drama, you smile, you shake your head, and you walk off the set. That's how you keep your soul clean. That's how you keep your peace sharp. Because here's the truth. Ignoring drama isn't weakness. It's strategy. It's knowing your time is too expensive to spend on gossip, too precious to waste on fools. Every second you give to their chaos is a second stolen from your future. And when you finally understand that, you'll treat drama like poison. You'll never touch it again. Remember this. They'll hate you more when you don't react. They'll call you cold, heartless, arrogant. But deep down, they'll respect it. Even your enemies respect silence. Even your haters fear a man who doesn't break under pressure. So let them talk. Let them scream. Let them tear their throats dry. While they waste air, You're stacking victories. And one day when you walk past them with success dripping off you, you won't even need to say a word. Your life will speak louder than their lies ever did. Ignore their drama, kid. It's not your battlefield. Your war is bigger, darker, more important. Don't waste bullets on clowns when there are kings to conquer. You ever watch vultures circle, kid? They don't come when you're strong. They wait. They wait till you stumble, till you bleed, till you're too weak to swat them away. That's when they descend, tearing at you piece by piece, feeding off your pain. That's drama. It's vultures dressed as people circling your life, waiting for cracks in your armor. And if you keep giving them attention, if you let their noise crawl inside your head, you're basically laying down in the dirt and telling them feast. But if you stand tall, even when you're bleeding, even when you're broken, and you look them dead in the eye with silence, they scatter. Because vultures can't eat what refuses to die. People will test you. That's not a maybe, it's a guarantee. They'll spread lies, twist stories, play the victim just to make you look like the villain. And you know what the trap is? Trying to defend yourself. Trying to explain. But the moment you explain, you've already lost because explanations are food for gossip. They don't want the truth. They want entertainment. And you standing there begging them to understand, that's the show. But if you say nothing, if you walk away, if you let their words rot in the air unanswered, the show dies. No audience, no claps, no encore, music, just silence. Think about it like this. Life is a battlefield. Every step, every choice, every reaction is ammo. You've only got so many bullets. If you waste them shooting at shadows, what's left when the real enemy shows up? Nothing. You'll be empty. That's what drama does. It empties you before the real war even begins. But if you hold your fire, if you save your strength, if you keep your eyes locked on the bigger picture, when the time comes, you'll have enough to win. And the vultures, there'll be nothing but dust in your path. I'll give you a raw example. Imagine a guy grinding every day. No rest, no shortcuts, building something out of nothing. And then the whispers start. He's wasting his life. He'll never make it. He thinks he's better than us. Now, if that guy turns to argue, he loses hours, days, maybe even years trying to shut mouths that were never going to close. But if he stays focused, if he keeps pushing, if he ignores every laugh and every sneer, one day he stands on top, and the same people who mocked him will choke on their regret. That's how the game works. Ignore their drama today, and tomorrow they'll be forced to watch you shine. The truth is simple. People hate mirrors. And when you rise, when you succeed, when you refuse to drown in their nonsense, you become a mirror. You remind them of their failures, their laziness, their wasted time. That's why they attack. It's not you they hate. It's the reflection. But if you break down, if you join their circus, the mirror shatters and they can pretend again. Don't give them that comfort. Stay silent. Stay strong. Force them to face the reflection every time they see you win. And don't think silence means weakness. Silence is strategy. Silence is patience. Silence is the art of letting your actions scream while your mouth stays shut. Anyone can talk. anyone can shout. But not everyone can starve their enemies with nothing but indifference. That takes discipline, music. That takes a kind of coldness most people don't have. And that coldness, that's what makes you untouchable. You've got to choose, kid. Are you going to waste your life clapping back at every insult, every rumor, every fool who thinks their voice matters in your story? Or are you going to rise, build, and let your silence bury them? Because make no mistake, they'll drown in it. They'll choke on it. And you'll walk away with peace they'll never taste. That's the sweetest revenge there is. Ignore their drama. Not because it doesn't sting, not because it doesn't matter, but because your future is worth more than their noise. Let them rot in their own chaos while you build something eternal. That's how legends are made. Not in the noise, but in the silence after it. You ever notice how people who scream the loudest usually got nothing in their pockets? Nothing in their heads, nothing in their souls? Empty people make the most noise. They hide their hollowness by throwing dirt at others, hoping nobody notices the cracks in their own walls. And you're supposed to stop, bend down, and argue with them. Number. That's what they want. They want you rolling in the dirt with them. But you don't roll, kid. You climb. You keep climbing. While they choke on the dust you leave behind. Let me make this ugly truth clear. You can't fight gossip. You can't fight lies. You can't fight the tongue of someone who wakes up just to spit poison, because every time you fight, you spread it further. The more you explain, the more it circulates. That's the trick. They don't want the truth. They want your energy. They want you distracted, drained, begging for peace you'll never get from them. But if you go quiet, if you refuse to play, their words bounce back and rot inside their own mouths. Silence turns their lies into self-destruction. Picture this: 2 houses side by side. One is filled with noise, people screaming, arguing, slamming doors. The other is silent, calm. Which one do people respect more? Which one do they envy? The quiet house. Because peace is rare, noise is cheap. Anyone can create drama, but very few can build peace. And if you learn to live in silence, if you learn to ignore their chaos, you become the house everyone stares at, untouchable, unshaken. And don't get me wrong, it hurts. It hurts when people lie about you, when they laugh at you, when they twist your kindness into weakness. It cuts deep. But the pain, that's the tax of greatness. That's the price you pay for walking a path they'll never touch. Because the higher you climb, the colder it gets and the fewer people can breathe at your level. Their drama is just proof you're already above them. Let them choke on the air while you keep breathing steady. You see, drama is like quicksand. The more you struggle, the deeper you sink. But if you stay still, if you refuse to fight, you can pull yourself out. That's what silence does. It saves you from drowning in battles that were never worth fighting. It keeps your energy for wars that matter. Wars with meaning. Let me drop it to street level. Imagine you're driving a beat-up car, just trying to get somewhere, and some fool leans out his window, cursing, throwing insults. You got 2 options. You slow down, scream back, maybe even crash, trying to prove a point. Or you keep driving. You don't even look. And 5 minutes later, he's behind you, stuck in traffic, still screaming at nobody. That's life. You don't stop for fools. You keep driving until their noise is just a memory in your rear-view mirror. People are going to hate you for ignoring them. They'll call you cold, arrogant, heartless. But understand this, those words are their last weapons. When noise fails, they try guilt. When guilt fails, they try shame. But if you stand tall through all of it, if you refuse to bend, you break their spine without touching them. Because deep down they know the truth. You won. And nothing hurts a drama addict more than realizing they lost the game they invented. So you want the formula? Here it is. When they scream, stay silent. When they lie, keep building. When they hate, keep moving. And when you finally reach the top, when your silence has built something too big to ignore, they'll wish they never spoke your name. But it'll be too late. Their words will be dust, and your life will be a monument. Ignore their drama. Not because you don't feel the pain, not because you don't hear the noise, but because you value your destiny more than their destruction. Let them eat themselves alive while you feast on success. That's the harsh, sad truth, and the only way out. The thing about drama, kid, is that it's always desperate, always hungry. It needs an audience. It needs applause. It needs somebody clapping for the chaos. Without you, without your reaction, it dies. Music. But here's the twisted part. Most people don't know how to let it die. They can't resist picking up the phone to answer that insult. Can't resist firing back at the whispers. Can't resist wasting nights defending themselves to people who never cared about the truth. And that's why they stay stuck. They feed the monster, then cry when it grows teeth. You got to understand, drama is cheap currency. Anybody can afford it. Takes nothing to start a rumor. Costs nothing to throw shade. But building something, rising from nothing, that costs blood, that costs time, that costs scars. And because most people don't want to pay that price, they sit around tearing down the ones who do. They can't build, so they destroy. They can't climb, so they pull. Music. And you either become their victim or you become their reminder that no matter how much they bark, you'll never stop moving. Let me make it plain. Imagine a street light at night. Moths swarm around it, buzzing, burning, dying on the glow. That's drama. Useless noise drawn to the light. And the light, it doesn't react. It just shines. That's your role. Shine. Keep burning. Let the moths fry themselves trying to dim you. You don't waste your energy swatting at insects. You just keep lighting the street for the ones who actually matter. The harshest lesson, people you love will sometimes become the loudest moths. Friends, family, lovers. They'll twist on you, bite you, test your silence, and it'll hurt worse than any enemy ever could. But your path doesn't change. You don't trade your peace for anyone's poison. Because if they really cared, they'd bring calm, not chaos. And if they bring chaos, then their role in your life is done. Let them go. Let them take their drama elsewhere. Your silence is the door closing behind them. Here's the logic. You can't control what they say. You can't stop lies. You can't erase rumors. You can't fix their jealousy. But you can control one thing, your reaction. That's your superpower. They throw dirt, you plant seeds in it. They throw stones, you build with them. They throw noise, you turn it into silence. That's how you flip their drama into your growth. Every attack becomes a tool. Every insult becomes proof you're walking the right road, because nobody throws rocks at an empty house. Think about that. If people are talking, it means you're doing something. If you were nothing, if you were nobody, they'd stay quiet. They'd ignore you. But they don't. They talk. They scheme. They circle like vultures. That means you're already a threat. And the best response to being a threat, don't waste time proving it. Just keep rising until the height alone suffocates them. People ask, how do you stay calm when they're dragging your name? You know how? By knowing names don't build empires. Actions do. You think history remembers the gossip number. History remembers the results. And if you keep stacking results, if you keep moving in silence, their drama becomes a footnote in your story, a joke no one laughs at anymore. I'll tell you something cold. Ignoring drama is the cruelest revenge, because it robs them of the one thing they crave, your attention. It makes their entire show collapse. And when you finally appear, when you finally step out, it won't be with words. It'll be with proof. Proof that while they were wasting time destroying themselves, you were busy creating. That's a scar they'll never heal from. So let them talk. Let them scream. Let them choke on their own noise. You stay silent. You stay sharp. You stay focused, because silence isn't weakness, it's a blade. And when the time comes, it cuts deeper than any scream ever could. The funniest thing about people in their little dramas is how predictable they are. Like clockwork. They'll drag your name into places you've never been. Twist your words into shapes you never said, and swear on things they can't prove. Why? Because drama is the only spotlight they'll ever stand in. And they want you to step under that same light, to defend yourself, to dance to their tune. But here's the kicker. When you step into their light, you cast a shadow on yourself. You become part of their act. And once you're in, you're trapped. They'll never let you out, because your reaction is the only thing keeping their circus alive. Think of it this way. Imagine a street full of stray dogs barking at every car that passes. If the driver stops to yell back, the barking grows. The street becomes chaos. But if the driver keeps rolling, the dogs stay behind, barking at nothing, while the car disappears into the horizon. That's you. You're the car. Keep rolling. Don't stop for dogs. The sad reality is, most people don't want peace. Peace terrifies them. Peace means they'd have to sit with themselves, face their emptiness, confront their failures. So they create noise. They pick fights, spread lies, stir gossip, anything to distract themselves from the silence of their own lives. And if you're not careful, they'll drag you into their emptiness. They'll make you forget your own mission, your own worth, just so you can drown with them. But your job is to refuse, to walk away, to protect your silence like it's oxygen. You ever seen someone fight a shadow? They swing, they kick, they scream, and the shadow doesn't move. The shadow doesn't fight back, it just exists. Calm, untouchable. That's what ignoring drama makes you. A shadow they can't defeat. Every punch they throw lands on air. Every scream echoes back into their own ears. And soon they're exhausted, broken, while you remain whole. That's the beauty of silence. It makes their effort useless. Let me give it to you raw. People want you to break. They want to see you cry, to see you mad, to see you lose control. Why? Because it proves their drama worked. It proves they had power over you. But when you don't react, when you keep smiling, when you keep moving, it kills them inside. It eats at them like poison in their veins. They realize you're untouchable. And that realization, that's what destroys them. I'll tell you a harsh truth. Some of the people closest to you will love drama more than they love you. They'll test your loyalty, your patience, your strength. They'll drag you into battles that were never yours to fight. And you'll want to explain, to fix, to prove yourself. But every second you waste proving yourself to people who don't care is a second stolen from the ones who actually do. Save your explanations for God. Save your actions for yourself. The rest, let silence answer. Because silence doesn't just protect you, it builds you. Every time you walk away from chaos, you're saving energy for growth. Every time you bite your tongue, you're sharpening your discipline. And every time you refuse to play their game, you're proving you're playing on a higher level. That's the part they'll never understand. Your silence isn't surrender. It's strategy. It's patience. It's knowing the game is bigger than their petty fights. Think of your silence as armor. Every insult that bounces off, every rumor that fades unanswered, every trap that fails because you refuse to step in, it all makes the armor stronger. And one day, when you step out, when you show what you've built in silence, the same people who laughed will bow. Not because they love you, not because they respect you, but because your existence will remind them of everything they wasted. Ignore their drama, kid. Not because it doesn't cut, not because it doesn't sting, but because it doesn't deserve your blood. Save that for battles worthy of you. Save it for victories they'll never touch. That's how you rise. That's how you win, in silence above the noise. You know what makes me sick? Watching people throw gasoline on their own lives, then cry when the fire burns them. They create chaos, drag names through mud, spread poison like it's perfume, then play the victim when the smoke chokes them. Music. That's drama for you. It's self-inflicted destruction dressed up as entertainment. And here's the trap. They want you inside that fire with them. They want your hands dirty, your peace shattered, your focus gone. Because if you're burning too, they don't feel alone. But listen close, kid. You don't run into a burning house to argue with the arsonist. You walk past cold, silent, and you let them burn in the blaze they built. Let me break it down with logic. Your energy is currency. Every argument you join, every insult you answer, every rumor you chase down is money spent. And you never get it back. So ask yourself, why spend your wealth on fools? Why waste your gold on trash? People who live on drama are bankrupt inside. They survive by stealing from others, stealing your time, your calm, your confidence. The moment you respond, they profit. The moment you stay silent, they starve. And starving them is the only way you win. Imagine walking through a marketplace. Merchants scream, wave their hands, shove rotten goods in your face. Buy this lie. Take this insult, argue over this nonsense. If you stop at every stall, your pockets are empty before you leave the street. But if you walk straight, eyes forward, you pass through untouched, their noise fades behind you, their desperation swallowed by silence. That's life. Every fool is a stall trying to sell you chaos. Don't buy it. And I'll tell you something darker. The closer you get to your goals, the louder the noise gets. Success is like blood in the water. Sharks smell it. People who never looked at you twice will suddenly circle, waiting to taste your weakness. They'll invent stories, question your motives, laugh at your effort. Why? Because your rise reminds them they never left the ground. Your silence, your discipline, it exposes their laziness, and exposure hurts. So they'll fight you with drama, hoping to drag you back down. But you don't fight sharks by bleeding more. You fight by refusing to enter the water. Think about shadows again. They follow you everywhere. But they only grow big when you stand in the light. That's what drama is, shadows. The brighter your success, the bigger their noise. But remember, shadows can't touch you. They can't hurt you. They can only copy your outline. And the moment you stop paying attention, the moment you ignore them, they vanish in the dark. People will call your silence arrogance. They'll say, "He thinks he's better than us." Music. She's too cold, too heartless. But let me tell you, those words are confessions. They're not describing you. They're exposing themselves. They're saying, "We can't control him. We can't shake her. We can't drag them down." And that eats them alive, because the only power drama has is the power you give it. Take that away, and all that's left is noise. Empty, desperate noise. The harsh truth. Some of the ones closest to you will test you the most. Friends, family, even lovers. They'll pull you into their storms, trying to see if you'll drown with them. And it'll hurt. But silence is your lifeboat. If you give in, you sink together. If you stay cold, if you row away, you survive. And survival is not selfish. It's necessary. Because you can't save anyone while you're choking on their waves. So ignore their drama, not because it's easy, but because it's the only way to stay alive in a world that feeds on distraction. Let them scream. Let them throw stones. Let them waste their breath. You build. You rise. You become the storm they can't predict, the silence they can't break. And one day, when they're still choking on their noise, you'll be too far gone for their voices to reach. That's the ultimate victory. Peace. They can't touch. The beauty of silence, kid, is that it terrifies the ones who live off noise. They can't stand it. When you don't clap back, when you don't react, when you don't break character, they panic. They start inventing even more lies, pushing harder, screaming louder, hoping you'll slip. But that panic, that's proof you're winning. Because silence is like a mirror. It forces them to face themselves. And trust me, most people can't stand their own reflection. That's why they need drama. It distracts them from the emptiness staring back at them in the dark. You ever seen a man drowning? He thrashes. He panics. He grabs at anything. Doesn't matter if he drags someone else down in the process. That's how drama addicts move through life. They're drowning in their own failures, their own regrets, and they'll reach for you, claw at you, drag you under, just to keep themselves afloat. And if you're not careful, if you dive in to save them, you'll be the one that never surfaces. The only way to survive is to stay on the shore, silent, watching them splash until they tire themselves out. Cold may be necessary. Always. Let me throw you a street example. Picture a man walking through his neighborhood, focused, carrying bags of bricks. He's building his future. And some fool starts shouting, laughing, throwing pebbles. If he drops the bricks to throw stones back, he loses time, loses energy, maybe even drops everything he worked for. But if he keeps walking, the pebbles bounce off, the fools get bored, and one day they'll still be standing in that same alley throwing the same stones while he's living in the house those bricks built. That's the math. That's the logic. You either argue with them and lose, or ignore them and win. And don't think this silence is weakness number. Silence is discipline. Silence is strength wrapped in restraint. Anybody can scream. Anybody can fight. But to stay calm while people spit poison in your face, that takes control most will never touch. And that control, it makes you dangerous, because when you finally decide to act, it won't be with words. It'll be with results. Results so undeniable they won't even have the breath left to lie about you anymore. Here's something darker. You're going to be betrayed. Not once, not twice, but over and over. And every time it'll tempt you to react, to explode, to drown in the storm they brought you. But betrayal is just proof you're climbing. No one betrays the man sitting still. They betray the man moving forward. And the cruel joke is, they think their betrayal stops you. They don't realize it's the fuel. Every stab, every lie, every piece of drama they create, it's just more reason for you to keep building. You don't waste it. You turn it into power. People want to see you angry, broken, explaining yourself. Don't give them the show. Give them silence. Give them discipline. Give them nothing. Because nothing drives them mad like realizing they don't matter. Their words don't matter. Their lies don't matter. They screamed and you didn't flinch. That's what haunts them. That's what kills them. You've got to start thinking like this. Every moment spent on drama is theft. Theft of your time. Theft of your focus. Theft of your future. And you've got a future to build. Big, heavy, unshakable. So why waste blood on flies? Swat one, another comes. Burn one, 10 more appear. But ignore them. Keep building. One day you'll look around and the flies will be gone, dead in the silence. So let them talk. Let them circle. Let them waste their lives on noise. You keep stacking bricks. You keep driving forward. You keep becoming untouchable. Because one day when the house is built, when the empire is real, when the silence has turned into thunder, they'll realize too late that their drama never slowed you down. It only exposed their emptiness. You know the most pathetic thing about drama, kid? It always looks big in the moment. Feels like the whole world's against you. Feels like they're whispers or earthquakes. Their laughter is thunder. But give it time. It always shrinks. Always. Lies fade. Rumors rot. Noise dies in silence. The only thing that lasts is what you've built while they were busy talking. That's the cruel truth. They waste their lives making noise. You waste yours if you stop to listen. But if you ignore it, if you keep stacking wins in the shadows, their storms become nothing but a drizzle on the roof of your empire. Imagine this. You're walking through a graveyard. You look around, quiet, still, peaceful. That's drama in the long run. Dead voices, buried noise, forgotten faces. None of it matters 10 years from now. But the scars you carved, the empire you built, the discipline you held on to, those are the stones that will stand. People don't carve statues for gossipers. They carve them for builders, for warriors, for the ones who stayed silent when noise tried to break them. You decide which you'll be, the fool who died talking, or the ghost who left something eternal behind. Let me throw a darker image. Picture a man with pockets full of seeds. He can either spend his days throwing them at birds, arguing, shouting, wasting, or he can plant them in silence. The first man ends up with nothing but empty hands and tired lungs. The second, he ends up with a forest. That's the choice you face every day. Drama is the bird. It wants you throwing. It wants you distracted. But silence is the soil. Plant there, and your future grows even while they laugh at you. And the best part, one day they'll have to walk through your forest just to get shade. People fear what they can't control. And silence is uncontrollable. Music, you never show your cards, never reveal your pain, never give them the satisfaction of knowing they touched you. That mystery drives them insane. They poke, they prod, they lie louder, hoping you'll break. But when you don't, when you just keep moving with that cold, steady calm, you become their nightmare. Because you've proven you're stronger than their favorite weapon, noise. Let me get real with you. You're going to hurt. You're going to bleed. You're going to cry into your pillow some nights, wondering why they hate you. Why they betray you, why they lie when you gave them nothing but truth. But that's the cost. That's the tax on greatness. And it's a bill you pay in silence. Because the moment you turn your pain into a public show, they win. But when you swallow it, when you fuel your grind with it, when you rise above it without a word, that's when you turn pain into power. That's when scars become armor. The world will never stop throwing dirt. That's the reality. But dirt can bury you or it can grow you. It depends on what you do with it. The weak cry under the weight. The strong plant seeds in it. That's why ignoring drama isn't weakness. It's warfare. It's choosing not to waste bullets on shadows. It's saving your fire for enemies that matter. And trust me, kid, there are bigger enemies ahead than gossip. Save yourself for them. So when they talk, when they laugh, when they twist your story, remember this, none of it lasts. Their voices will die. Their faces will fade. Their drama will vanish like smoke in the wind. But what you do in silence, what you build in discipline, that's eternal. That's what survives. Ignore their drama. Not because you don't feel the sting, but because you know the sting is temporary and your destiny is not. You ever sit back and notice how drama always comes from the bottom? Never from the ones actually building. Never from the ones climbing. Never from the ones bleeding to create something real. No, it always drips from the mouths of the idle, the bitter, the ones with nothing in their hands but envy. That's the pattern, kid. Look close, you'll see it. The higher you rise, the more you'll feel their spit from below. But spit doesn't touch the sky. It dries before it ever reaches you. And yet fools waste their breath thinking they've done damage. That's why you don't stoop down. Don't crawl back into the pit to argue. You stay above. Silence is altitude, and drama can't survive up there. Let me give you a hard image. Think of an eagle flying below. Crows scream, attack, peck at it, trying to distract it. If the eagle fights every crow, it wastes its wings, maybe even falls. But the eagle never fights down. It flies higher. And you know what happens when it does? The air gets thinner, colder. The crows can't breathe there. They fall off one by one, choking on the silence of the heights. That's you. Be the eagle. Don't fight noise on the ground. Fly higher until their lungs give out. Drama thrives on your attention. It needs you to clap back, to explain, to care. The moment you care, it grows. But when you don't, when you walk away with that cold indifference, it dies in the dark. And they hate that. They hate it because silence doesn't just starve them, it exposes them. Suddenly, it's clear to everyone who the fool is. Not the one building in quiet, but the one screaming into a void. And nothing humiliates a drama addict more than looking like a clown with no audience. Here's something bitter. Sometimes the loudest drama will come from people you once called home. A friend, a lover, a family member. They'll betray you, twist on you, turn you into their story. And it'll sting deep because it's not coming from strangers. It's coming from faces you trusted. But even then, the answer's the same. Silence. Because if you fight, you prove them right. If you scream, you hand them your soul. But if you stay still, if you cut them off without a word, you strip them of their control. You walk away free, while they sit there shackled to their own noise. Think of your silence like a blade, a sharp edge you never have to swing. Just holding it makes people cautious. They don't know what you're thinking, don't know when you'll move, don't know if you even care. That mystery alone, it's power. Power they'll never have because their mouths will always betray them. They bleed noise. You bleed nothing. And nothing is scarier than a man who doesn't bleed where others expect him to. The logic's simple. Your time is blood. Your energy is gold. Would you spill blood for clowns? Would you hand gold to thieves? Number. So why give your peace to drama? Why spend your future defending yourself to people who don't even matter? Every second wasted on them is a second stolen from your destiny. And destiny doesn't forgive thieves. If you lose time, you don't get it back. That's why silence is more than survival. It's investment. They'll laugh at you now. Call you cold. Call you distant. Call you arrogant. Let them wear themselves out. Because one day when your silence has turned into results, into a life too big to ignore, their laughter will choke them. They'll sit in the same place with the same noise. realizing the silence they mocked is the silence that destroyed them. And you'll be too far gone to even hear their regret. Ignore their drama, kid. Not because it doesn't hurt, not because you're blind to it, but because you've chosen altitude over noise. And up there, their screams don't reach. Their chaos doesn't matter. Up there, only silence survives. That's the real game. Funny thing about drama, kid, it always comes dressed like it's important. They'll make it sound like life or death, like you can't sleep until you answer, can't breathe until you defend yourself. They'll bait you with urgency. Did you hear what they said about you? Aren't you going to respond? Don't you care? That's the trap. They want you rushing into a fire that doesn't even exist. Wasting your time on words that won't matter a week from now, let alone a lifetime. And here's the cruel joke. You can spend hours fighting lies, but the truth needs no defense. Time defends it for you. Your silence is proof that the noise isn't worth your breath. Imagine someone scribbles graffiti on the walls of a palace. Ugly words, stupid drawings, garbage. The fool thinks he destroyed the palace. But when the sun rises, people don't stare at the graffiti. They stare at the palace. They admire the walls, the size, the strength. The scribbles fade. The fool is forgotten, but the palace stands. That's you. Let them scribble on your name. Let them paint lies on your back. If you stay strong, if you keep building, the palace of your life will outlast their graffiti. No one remembers the spray can. Everyone remembers the empire. Applause, and don't think silence means you're numb. Number, you feel it. The betrayal, the insults, the cheap laughs, it cuts deep. But pain doesn't mean you speak. Pain means you grind. You take that ache and you let it harden you. You turn it into steel, into armor, into fuel. Because pain that speaks dies quickly, but pain that works lives forever. That's the lesson they'll never understand. Your silence isn't emptiness, it's transformation. You want another street picture? Let's say you're carrying water in a bucket heading home. People throw rocks at you, laugh, and you try to spill it. If you stop to curse them out, to throw rocks back, the bucket tips, you lose everything. But if you grip it tighter, ignore their noise, and keep walking, you make it home. You have water. You survive. That's life. The water is your peace, your future, your goals. Protect it. Carry it in silence. Let the fools waste their time throwing stones. Here's the logic. If people are talking about you, it means you're doing something. Ghosts don't get talked about. Dead men don't get envied. Noise only follows the living, the moving, the rising. So instead of letting it break you, wear it like proof that you're a threat, proof that your silence is working, proof that your presence is heavy enough to make empty mouths shake. The saddest thing, drama addicts never grow. They rot in the same place, telling the same stories, chasing the same cheap high of attention. 10 years later, they'll be the same. No progress, no victories, no peace, just noise. And you can't afford to rot. You've got too much to build, too far to go. That's why you cut the rope. That's why you let silence carry you forward, while their noise chains them down. People fear silence because silence doesn't give answers. It leaves them guessing. Does he hate me? Does she know? Is he planning something? That guessing game eats at them more than any curse you could throw. And that's where your real power lies. In making them fear what they can't hear. In letting your quiet haunt them longer than your words ever could. So remember this. Let them scream. Let them point. Let them spit their poison. You don't fight in their dirt. You don't waste your fire on their ashes. You stay cold. You stay silent. You keep building because one day, when your silence has grown into thunder, they'll realize too late that the noise they worshiped was the very thing that destroyed them. And you'll be gone untouchable, music, living in a peace they'll never taste.